Hello everyone, my name is Nick Pannella. I'm going to make a video about somatic OCD. This is this is my main fear, fear of sensations and so forth. So my whole life, I have had undiagnosed OCD, but not severe, maybe in that 3 to 4 range. And it wasn't until I attended chiropractic school to get my doctorate where my anxiety was really high, where my irrational beliefs really started to blossom. And I developed bilateral tinnitus or tinnitus from going to lots of music festivals. And what happened was my mind became locked, but it wasn't in a way where it was normal locked. It was a different type of locked, and I was very scared and very fearful. I habituated to my tinnitus in 3 months. Those 3 months were very tough. And I had a panic attack thinking about blinking. I had started really freaking out. I remember lying on the ground in my parking lot saying to my fiance at the time, who's now my wife, I don't know what's going on. I'm really scared. I can't stop thinking about my blinking. And she's like, what are you talking about? And come to find out, I was developing somatic OCD, and it kind of was like that light switch. And I think that's what makes somatic OCD not very well understood. I think more people probably have it than are known. And the treatment modalities for it aren't as clear because there's not really an outright exposure with, say, harm OCD or contamination OCD. So before I talk any further, I just want you to know I understand how frustrating and potentially debilitating this fear can be. It almost is like being waterboarded, where you have water being dripped on your forehead. It can be very, very scary when you don't understand what is going on. But what's going on is you are afraid of a sensation. And the majority of, in my opinion, the compulsive behavior that accompanies this is avoidance. Doing things that you normally wouldn't to avoid feeling that sensation. And all that does is trick your brain and teach your brain that you are afraid of this sensation. And it really becomes this vicious loop really fast. I mean, my life changed in a millisecond. Literally, it was a light switch. It wasn't there and then it was there. And it was very, very hard for me to understand what was going on, because I'm such an outgoing, eccentric person, and my personality completely changed. I don't know how I finished school. I don't know how I took my boards. It goes to show you what we really are capable of. National board examinations, passing all my doctoral level tests while really, really, really in bad shape. This is where I found Rob. I've been working with Rob for about 10 months. But I didn't start recovery until May 1st. And what do I mean by I didn't start recovery? I wasn't receptive to the ideas. So in order to begin recovery, you have to accept, which is not easy and doesn't come in a light switch like I'm accepting, that this journey is probably going to be harder than you ever thought it was going to be. Because my personality in the beginning, I'm sure Rob was laughing, I'll be over this in 2-3 months, so 6 months max. And I've been working on recovery for 5 months and 5.5 months. And I'm still very much hyper aware. I still pretty much have chronic anxiety, but I am a lot more capable of functioning. My wife and I are starting our own business. We're mobile chiropractors. I also work at Red Robin 4 shifts a week, and I also drive for Grubhub and Postmates. So, I'm working 75, 80 hours a week. So I'm functioning very well. It's not the best work-life balance, but that's what it takes right now for me to get off the ground. Now, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about what doesn't work and what does work for somatic OCD. Because it's such a misunderstood subcategory of OCD, which is it's just a fear. You just happen to be afraid of a sensation. Short-term distraction and avoidance can be good. So cutting out caffeine, for an example, for myself in the short term was good. But, the OCD brain says, well, no, I'm never going to have it for the rest of my life. And that's not true. Long-term distractions and avoidance are not the answer. I see a lot of people, therapists, recommending long-term distraction with good intentions, but they're wrong. you will never recover by doing that. You'll never get full relief. You might get some relief, but you'll never get to that full level of acceptance. Accepting that you have somatic OCD and that you're probably going to be living the majority of your day highly uncomfortable for a little bit is a reality. I think that the consensus is that somatic OCD takes a little bit longer to disengage because it's inside of you, and it's not like it's always going to be there. I'm always going to salivate and swallow. Those are my fears. I don't have blinking anymore. I can blink as much as I want. It doesn't bother me. I don't notice it, but it's latched very hard to my saliva and swallowing, to where it's very intrusive majority of the day, but not as debilitating as it was because I am going towards uncertainty, and going towards the worst case scenarios are always a good idea. So maybe I'll be like this forever. I would not like that, but I can accept that. We talk a lot about acceptance is not agreement, also highly misunderstood in the OCD community. So, a little bit about what happened to me. I ended up in a mental hospital. I was highly suicidal. I'm surprised I'm here. I was in a really low spot. Finding Rob helped me understand the beliefs of what was going on, because I have never known about this. So I'm a pretty intelligent guy, I think, for the most part, but I wasn't rational in anything. I always thought in black and whites. I judged a lot. So besides the somatic OCD, when you think about what recovery can do for you, it really can help you change perspectives on so many other things in your life besides the actual OCD. And that is gigantic, and it's not an easy task. You're changing something about yourself that you have potentially had for years. Like, I've had irrational beliefs for 20 conscious years, maybe even before that. I have some memories about me doing some OCD tendencies when I was like 6. It really didn't click until I developed this chronic OCD, like the light switch, where I said to myself, wow, like there's something is going on here that I didn't even know was happening. Excuse me. And that is the main thing about somatic OCD, is it comes down to the avoidance of the sensation. You don't have to cut things out forever. I know that was hard for me. I love video games. I played at a very, very highly competitive video game level where I was betting money for years. And it was not a healthy outlook for my life. And I want to bring video games back, but it's not the right time. And it's not hard. It's not easy for me to accept that. And it's not going to be easy for you either. So I have compassion and understand where you're going, what you're going through. And I think the biggest thing that I would say is the takeaway is, even if you were hyper aware forever, it wouldn't be the end of the world as we think it is, because it's so distressing in the beginning. Well, then the reality is our perception about what's going on is making it much worse than it is. There's people who live with far worse conditions. My father died of stage 4 pancreatic cancer, metastasized to his liver, and he was a mess. But he was still laughing at the end. Now, he didn't have the OCD full expression. He was a hoarder, but I don't think it was debilitating him ever, but he still lived a very successful life as a partner with a big law firm. So you can do things when you feel terrible. You can do anything if you want to. You just have to go through and persist. And this is why Rob is so big on persisting. Without persistence and grit, you probably won't reach OCD recovery. Also, there are a couple other things I wanted to talk about that don't help, and that is comparative suffering. People are going to recover at different rates. I see a lot of people say, oh, well, breathing OCD is worse, and swallowing is worse. There's no there's no ROI on that. There's no return on your investment. You don't get anything out of that, and you never will. It's a false premise. Working on yourself, understanding that people are not going to agree with you. That was so hard for me. Being from New Jersey and the life, my dad was full Italian, and growing up in that, I'm right all the time mentality really was very irrational and led to a lot of my discomfort. So one thing that is going to help on the road to recovery is understanding there's going to be setbacks, major setbacks, to where in the mind you think that, oh, I'm step one, but there is no such thing as square one or step one. You've already learned things, and you're probably more than likely past where you were, and that's okay. That's completely okay. It's also okay to not be okay. That's a huge misconception too. That I'm not okay as a guy in the society still is sometimes frowned upon, and that's going to happen. You're never going to change anyone's opinion. One thing I've realized is trying to change someone's opinion is irrational, because when you force an opinion on someone, by nature, you have a complex that's superiority, thinking this person needs to listen to me. The only thing you can do in life is provide value that you think is important, and whether any of everyone listening to this video could say I'm wrong, and that's okay, because I'm just stating my opinion as a human who's living on planet Earth. And you don't have to listen to me. So it's not easy to accept that, but you can. You can have unconditional self-life and other acceptance and move with uncertainty. I don't think that outward compulsions, as I say, make a huge deal with this. It's more with living with the uncertainty of how long it might take me to recover. It might take me 3-5 years. I don't know, and that still gets me down. But I've come a long way, and you can too. You really can go places farther than you think you're capable of. I passed my national boards, high-end radiology, MRI, CT scan tests, started my own business, worked in a multidisciplinary clinic, all while basically having depersonalization and not even realizing where I was. I still did all of it. Oh, man, it was so uncomfortable. But I did it, and I'm here. And even right now, like, my mouth is pooling and watering because I'm having a slight setback because I fell off the horse a little bit. I'm getting back on. But even though I feel pretty terrible, I have made crazy improvements. And I know that. My friends even see it. They say, wow, I've never seen you not be so explosive. So it's more than the somatic OCD. That's just the iceberg, Usually if you have a chronic fear, there's other underlying irrational beliefs surrounding other topics in your life. Anyone is more than welcome to leave a comment. I don't really watch a lot of the videos anymore, just because I'm at a point in my recovery where I'm more focused on living my life. But I will check once a day. So if anyone has any questions about somatic OCD, feel free to ask. But the last thing is there is hope. And you can recover fully. Recovery is the absence of obsession and chronic anxiety. You're going to have anxiety in your life. We have a sympathetic nervous system. You're going to have anxiety. But you will not have chronic anxiety, and you will not have obsessive behaviors. That is a misconception by highly renowned OCD therapists, saying that your obsessions will always be there. They are frankly wrong. Your obsessions lift. That is why it's called OCD recovery and not OCD, I still have obsessions but no anxiety. That wouldn't be recovery. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rob, thank you for letting me share this. I wish the best of luck for all of you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are people out there willing to listen, and I am one of them. Have a great day, guys.